Are you not interested in doing Love Island or anything like that?
No. I mean, I've got the rig for it. I mean, I'll dominate on there.
You will, yeah.
And you know that.
Time for the big conversation. An ordinary chat show with extraordinary people. The big conversation. Let's go.
I'm happy to come back one day and do it again, but I'm not a diva, but I won't sit in this chair again, okay? Because my hamstrings hurt because our little arm bits are digging into it, the side bits, and I'm worried about falling over when I walk off because I've got pins and needles in both my feet. So you think it's a quirky chair? I think it's a health risk.
A health risk. We'll have to do like tests on it and stuff.
I want a leather armchair made out of Flatman jerseys.
Dave, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. So before you began playing rugby, obviously a long time ago now, but
yeah, not that long.
Did you have any interesting jobs before you became a professional rugby player?
Yeah, I did actually. My parents always pushed me to work in the summers a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was a pot washer at a cafe in Maidstone in Kent where I grew up. And that was just a Saturday morning job. Yeah. And it was proper graft. I only got a tenner for it for the whole morning. So I look at that as child labour. That wasn't good. I'll tell you the name of it. It was Harper's. What I'm investigated. I really hated that, and I mainly hated it because from an early age I was someone who, if I enjoyed something, there's a good chance I'll be quite good at it.
Yeah.
But if I don't enjoy something, then I'm, pretty quickly pretty ineffective.
Yeah.
So I came to a mutual agreement with the manageress that it benefited everyone if I didn't come anymore. Should
we not go into details of that agreement?
No, let's not go into confidential. I signed a confidentiality agreement with 14, whatever it was. I did a bit of block paving. I carried probably about half or 2/3 of the paving slabs and bricks on Erith Pier in Kent were carried in by me on my back. Because although I was only young, I don't know, 16, 17, something like that, I was stronger than most of the other guys.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do any of the precision stuff, but I just spent 10 hours a day.
So they just let you carry all the slabs?
Carrying bricks, and they said you load them up and you carry them in.
Yeah.
So how do I get them from there to there? He said you load them up and you carry them in, and that was that. I loved that job, it was brilliant, and worked in a bakery.
Yeah.
But
making
not as
some
good
nice
as it sounds.
Cupcakes and stuff, or
no, picking out massive giant trays of crescent-shaped croissant dough and taking it from one shelf and sticking it into the oven shelf, taking it from one shelf into the other shelf, 3 a.m. till 3 p.m. Did that for a couple of months over the summer and didn't eat a croissant for 10 years after that.
Scarred by it.
I made up for it by now. But that was actually a minging job and it wasn't minging because of the timing, to get used to that. It was minging because of the smell. The smell of croissants is beautiful.
Yeah.
Unless you smell it intensively for 12 hours a day, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where loads of the people we got there wearing masks, and we realised why. They had these scented masks. People kept vomiting at the smell. There you go.
You wouldn't have thought you could throw up at the smell of a croissant.
You blimmin' can.
Wow. There we are. So we've spoken to a few of our guests so far about how they got into professional rugby, as in their teenage years, playing through school and colleges and whatnot. What was your route like to the professional game?
Probably not. I don't know. Maybe standard. Maybe not that standard. I don't know. I played rugby as a kid because my dad took me down there, and that was that, and I loved it. And
was it a love straight away? You just fell in love with it
straight away? Yeah. So I mean, the main reason I liked rugby is I like being around the lads, and I like rough and tumble, basically. So like a 3-year-old boy that loves smashing into stuff and rolling down hills and rugby tackling Labradors, that's what I liked, and I liked that until I was in my 30s, and I probably still would quite like it now if my body hadn't broken, but I liked smashing about and stuff. So rugby was an easy one for me. But about the age of 13, I was playing in Maidstone in Kent, my local club, and I just got so frustrated by I remember feeling properly low, like as a kid, and you shouldn't feel low as a well looked after, very well fed kid, with all the choices in the world. But game after game was cancelled because we didn't have enough players turning up, or the opposition didn't. And it was training in the rain again, and I was happy to train, but I wanted to play. So I remember saying to my dad, I just want to play. And he goes, well, which is the best team near us? Do you want to change clubs? And no one changed clubs when they're kids, unless they move house.
All your mates hated you after.
They all hated me, but I went to play for Sevenoaks because they were always the team I thought were the best when we played against them. And, that went well and I stayed there. And it got to the point again where I was that's a Sunday morning taken care of, but at school, I went to a rugby school in Maidstone, and it wasn't a rugby school because half the games were called off. There was no one at training. Same thing.
Yeah.
No real enthusiasm for it in the school, and I got so frustrated that my parents were like, "Well, it was ruining my academics." I mean, I was so driven to play that it ruined everything, and nothing was going well in any area of schooling. So my parents said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to go to Dulwich College, which is this school in London, big posh school. No one in my family before or since been to private school. But they are the best rugby school in the country, and they happen to be an hour from where we live. So I want to go there, please, not knowing that you had to pay and whatever.
As a child, you brush over those things.
Semantics.
Don't worry about them.
Just numbers, isn't it? So,
Mum, you can worry about it.
Yes, we didn't have a lot of money, and my parents sold both family cars. I realise now, didn't realise at the time, and to pay for the first year, saved for the second. And I remember it now, it was £12,000 a year to go there as a day boy, and I had to get the train from Maidstone to Dulwich and back every day, 2 trains each way. I only went for sixth form, but I think my parents worked very, very hard and saved hard to get me there because they knew that I needed. It wasn't like, let's make him go pro. I never thought about going pro until someone offered me a deal.
You just wanted to play rugby really bad.
Let's see if he actually enjoys being in an environment where they go flat out at rugby. So where they we were training 5 days a week, playing Saturdays. It was full on, 5 teams in each year. Yeah. And it was but
that's what you wanted, presumably.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. My academics improved as well. Still weren't great, but we had a couple of star players in our team, and pro scouts came to watch our school games, and I just was playing in one of the games, and they said, we like those guys, but we also like you. We'd like you to come and play for Saracens. And Saracens had just signed. Saracens had Francois Pienaar and a guy who you won't remember, but a guy called Roberto Grau, Bobby Grau, and he was my hero. I thought he was the best prop in the world because he was. And I said, they were going to pay me £100 a week, 2 weeks unpaid, to go and play with Bobby Grau. I was like, sign me up, mate. So so that was my route. They came to watch my parents did everything they possibly could to put me in an environment that would see if I was any good. Yeah. And then they came to watch my more talented mates and sign me up as well. So that's kind of just how it worked.
You played a bit of England schools during that period as well, did you?
Yeah, so I went from Maidstone Grammar School, where there was, I don't care if they call themselves a rugby school, maybe they are now, but when I was there was bugger all rugby going on, really. Very, very low level, to Dulwich, and straight away got in the England school, got in the first team there, and played for. I was still a Kent boy, so I didn't defect to Surrey just because I changed schools. So Kent, London and South East and England schools for 2 years. And we had Johnny and Tyndall and Borthwick and Sheridan and all those guys, Mears, and we had an amazing team.
Great team, yeah.
We toured Australia and beat Australia, won 8 matches out of 8 and put 38 points on the Aussies and in Sydney. It was great times, absolutely great time. Not as good as playing for my school, but pretty close.
So you said you signed for Saracens. What was it like when you came into that team, and obviously you were the young guy? You walked into a dressing room, and what was it like being surrounded by all these guys who were legends, and you looked up to everyone presumably in the team? Yeah.
It was interesting because socially I've always been confident. I think I'm funny. I laugh at my own jokes. I'm never worried socially walking into a room, but I was very, very worried about my ability. So I would say, I was at Sarries for 5 years. I would say for a good 3 years of that, a good 3 years of my time at Sarries, I was more nervous on a weekday morning waking up than I was for matches. So match days were a relief.
Yeah, I read somewhere that you said that you were more nervous about training than actually playing matches.
It wasn't because the training was particularly brutal. It was brutal because Francois was our boss, so we did a lot of stuff. It was reasonably punchy, but reasonably tough. But it was more. I never, it wasn't. You could mistake my social confidence for arrogance, But arrogance, I think, is different, because I never thought I was better than I was. I never thought I was better than anyone else. In fact, I was pretty confident that when it came to actually playing rugby, I was the worst player in the whole squad, because I probably was close to it, you know. And
you come straight out of school. At that
but
point,
I had other areas where. So if it was scrum time or mauling time or line-out time, I was comfortable.
Yeah.
As soon as I moved away from that, I was very, very nervous and uncomfortable. But I think that's, looking back, that was healthy, and it made me a lot better. And so I found it great fun, a huge privilege, and actually fucking terrifying. I mean, really
rounded
terrifying.
you into the player that you were for the rest of your career.
But I remained terrified about different things for my whole career. So in the end, I wasn't worried about training anymore. But I was always very, very nervous for games, very, very nervous. But I learned to be thankful for the nerves, because they
almost harness them and use them in your favour.
They took me to a different place. You know, I got a lot of injuries, and I often remember feeling I had so much adrenaline in me that I had some horrible injuries that I barely felt, and I barely had any pain, because I had so much adrenaline. Because
thank God.
Each game felt like such an event to me.
Yeah.
I never walked out thinking, you know, love this atmosphere, let's go again, perfectly natural, done this 100 times, I'm relaxed. I always walked out at Mach 10. You know,
heart beating out your chest stuff.
Thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't play anymore. I've forgotten how to scrummage. I need to chin someone to get this energy out. But I'm really shit at fighting. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get beaten up. Don't get a red card, then I'll get sacked. Don't get injured. That's how I was thinking as I ran out. And as soon as there was an impact, I was happy. You know, and back to feeling like I was 10 again. Really.
Not long after that, so you were only 20, I think. You made your first England cap.
Yeah.
England appearance. Was that in South Africa?
Yeah, against Springboks. So 2 caps on that tour when I was 20.
That must have been amazing to get your first appearance on a tour like that.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Can you remember anything from that tour, or is it all a bit of a blur?
All of it. Yeah? I remember all of it really clearly. More clearly than any other part of my rugby life, I think. It was because I was so amazed to be there. I think everything just was I think my sensitivities and awareness was just heightened. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why I remember everything. And you know, there are a million highlights in that tour. Playing for England is one of them. Yeah. Jason Leonard, after my first cap, saying "You're drinking with me tonight, boy," and actually getting pissed with Jace. Didn't quite keep up. Had a few issues post sort of 9:30 p.m.
How was your head the next day?
It wasn't so much my head. It was the police at reception. Anyway, long story. We were consequently found not guilty. So there you are.
Yeah, there you are.
Of kidnap. It again is a long story. And you know, define kidnap, right?
Exactly.
So we didn't kidnap anyone at all.
Well, you were not guilty, so.
Not guilty. Yeah. So I remember that. I remember the game so clearly. I don't remember any other games really in my career clearly except those. But I remember everything. I remember what I had for breakfast every day. I remember what my room looked like, what my room smelt like. I remember on a day off, knock on my door after breakfast, and it was Martin Johnson saying, "What you up to? We're going into town to buy Hawaiian shirts for the piss up Saturday night. Are you coming?"
Can't think of anything better.
Said, yeah. So I went into town with Jono and Neil back. So it's me, Jono and Backy going to get coffees and getting Hawaiian shirts. And
Best day ever.
I remember being completely confident and relaxed, not thinking, wow, these guys are superstars. Thinking these just are properly good blokes. Yeah. Just great bloke. Didn't have to knock on my door, you know. Did not have to knock on my door. Did anyway.
Well, it would have been easy to, you know, you weren't really a part of the team at that point. You'd only just joined it. It would have been easy for them to leave you behind.
Yeah. So they took me into town. We had, you know, it was just a completely normal afternoon. I remember got back and I'm thinking to myself, you know, who I've just been having coffee with, and it's not so much a starstruck, just more massively impressed with how they behaved, like how they included me, and that coffee would have changed how I behaved to young, or would have added to, been part of the reason I behaved, I think, hopefully, in a very accommodating and generous way to young players for the rest of my career.
You were shown the way by them.
What a lesson that was. It was only an hour and a half, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just loads of stuff, and
so important for the senior players to lead as an example, like they did there.
Yeah, and it's easy to lead an example in training.
But that's what people don't see as well.
Yeah.
Like, we would never have known that, and fans would never know that.
No.
But to you, that was something that sticks out.
Yeah, and there are some senior players who couldn't give a monkeys.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But, you know, that's all right. But as long as there are some that do, and, you know, I turned up and you got Lawrence is there and Big Lol's like the legend.
Yeah.
And it's like you've known him 20 years. And I realise now it's not fake. He's just a really nice bloke.
Yeah.
Great crack, massive presence, but generous, nice, you know, kind of, it's not all about him.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just think, well, if these guys are this successful and they can be lovely blokes, then, sorry, no one else has got an excuse not to. You know, that's what I always think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So following on from that, 2003, you moved to Bath.
Yeah.
I noticed that you said before that one of the reasons you moved was because you weren't really in agreement with some of the methods being used coaching-wise at that time at Saracens. But was there anything else that drew you to Bath?
Yeah, I mean, I left Sarries for two reasons. One, because I didn't like Saracens anymore. Didn't like being there. Didn't like being part of the club. The only two things I liked about Sarries were my mates and the owner, and that wasn't enough for me to stay because a lot of my mates were leaving as well because they only liked their mates,
the same
and
reasons,
their owner didn't like playing there. Didn't like the coaching. Didn't like the approach to signing coaches. So why have we got this coach? Why have we got this coach? Well, he was a good player, or he's a big name, and it just didn't work. And you know, I remember I won't name him because I haven't asked his permission, but a very senior player, a legend of the world game, frankly, saying to me in an unusual moment of sort of anti-Saracens, anti-employer honesty, saying to me, whatever you do, wherever you sign next season, make sure it's not here, because they need some boys to leave. They need to be left on their arse so that they make some changes. Yeah. And maybe it worked, but I think 7 of us just front row, I think front 5 players had told the club we were leaving in a 1 week period or something like that. You know, it's just like, this is awful, guys. Yeah. And we had this great coach called Bob Crooks, who was brought in, I think, because someone else quit or something, but he was like the academy coach. We had this coach, Bob Crooks, he came in, and we all knew him, but no one in the no one had ever heard of him. He wasn't famous. Right, yeah. And the bosses were like, right, what's he like as a coach? And we're like, he's the best forwards coach I've ever had. And they're like, right, well, we're replacing him with this guy because he played for New Zealand 15 years ago. It's like, but he's brilliant and he's already here. Yeah, we're going to replace him because we want, you know, somebody with a bit more experience. Someone with a bigger name tag. Yeah, so they came in and he was rubbish. It was rubbish. Yeah. So didn't work at all. So that sort of stuff. So I left for that, but also because when I'd been injured and stuff, I'd come down to Bath. I had mates here from half my England schools team happened to play for Bath, and Danny Grucock left Sarries before me and came to Bath, and so he was a close mate of mine and still is, so I would come and visit him, and you just think, what a place to imagine playing. Everyone talks about we're playing rugby for the town, the city, and Saracens. Yeah, it's really a central part of the whole. Yeah. Bath is about Bath Rugby Club, isn't it? Yeah. And we didn't have that at Sarries, and you know, it's the first time I've felt. I loved my first few years at Sarries. I absolutely loved them, and I'm eternally grateful for them. I still would count the owner as a friend, you know. Yeah. In fact, he's just one of the best people I know. Wonderful bloke, and he always was. When I told him I was leaving, he called me and said, "Good on you, mate. You know, you're always welcome here, and good luck." And he's a great guy. But it's the first time I've been somewhere where it reminded me of being at school. Because all the lads are together. It's so close. In London, everyone just disappears, and you can go and meet up with the lads after a game, but they're an hour away. You can disappear in London, can't you? Yeah. In Bath, you're so together. And I came down for a Bath Saracens game I was injured for, and the lads were like, "Right, you're staying down." I was like, "I'll stay down and get on the piss, you know, and whatever." Why not? So why not? It'd be rude not to, almost. Bloody lads, aren't we? So I stayed down, and I was like, "Right, how do we get into town?" And it was like, "Oh, just stick your bag in the boot, mate, and walk in." So they finished the game, went upstairs and had a beer with the supporters, had a bit of dinner with the other teams, and then they took off their Bath polo shirts, stuck on a shirt or a t-shirt, stuck it in the boot of the car and walked into town, and that was it. And it was like, this is heaven. Yeah. This is rugby heaven, you know. So I came down here, and I took, very naively I expect, the first offer they made I took. You know, didn't need a massive pay rise, because I didn't really believe I was worth a massive pay rise, really. So and from the minute I arrived, it was home, and there's touch wood, I'll never leave, I think. So, I mean, I've written down what was the most welcoming thing, but I guess maybe you had your whole
team from school?
Yeah, I knew loads of the lads. I've always been a
felt
sociable
like
bloke.
home as soon as you got there.
Yeah, I'm also quite sociable, so I like being on my own quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I also like being with other people quite a lot, so I do mix it up. But I know loads of lads at every club really, but there was just something about this place. I think it's, do you know what it mainly is? I grew up in Maidstone, and this might offend some people watching, sorry about that. Maidstone is really fucking, can I swear? No.
Yeah, it's YouTube.
Maidstone is really fucking chavvy, okay? It might not be anymore. When I grew up, it was chavvy. And there were times when we were legging it from, travellers trying to kick our heads in, and local hard nuts who don't go to school trying to kick our heads in just for being lads that sometimes went to school,
Yeah.
and driving around in pickup trucks when they're 15, trying to find us and kick us in because we live in a different area, And while all that stuff's fine, and you have the odd scrap and you think you're hard, it was like, by the time I left at 18, left home, I'm completely over chav living. I hate it. I am a working class bloke from a working class family, and I like the working classes, I like all the classes, but I'm unwilling to spend time in threatening chavvy areas if I don't have to.
Yeah.
And Bath to me was just peaceful and soft and beautiful and easy.
Yeah.
And I loved going into London. I lived in London in Hackney for 5 years, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. People said it was really rough. I never saw any of that really. It was just a great place to live. People were really warm, every race under the sun within 50 metres of your flat, and it was just the nicest place to be.
Yeah.
So that Turkish cafe, the River Cafe it was called, on Stoke Newington Church Street on a Sunday morning, was just rammed with every colour and creed under the sun, all different football shirts in London.
Yeah.
It was just the best place ever to go for a bit of brekkie, so I kind of like that. But Bath just represents a quality of life that, I just thought, well, why wouldn't you love it here?
Yeah.
And just because I had so much grief growing up in Maidstone because I was bigger than my mates. When I was 14 or 15, every 21-year-old wanted to kick my head in. That it toughens you up, but in the end it gets a bit old.
Yeah.
And I just don't,
A bit draining.
I'm not into posturing and trying to look after that sort of stuff. So I'm in a place now which is quite genteel, probably not the real world.
Yeah.
I dip into London all the time. I'm in London, a couple of 2 or 3, 4 days a week sometimes. But this is the place, this is home.
Nice place to come and put their head down at the end
of
of a long day.
My kids are not growing up in the real world, they're growing up in Bath.
Yeah.
But I will expose them from time to time to the real world, because I love the real world, but I don't want them, they've changed schools recently and their last school was fine, but there was a day when I turned up and some of the older boys were sort of chewing gum on their BMXs by the gate and flobbing on the floor and sort of, threatening the little kids who walked in trying to look hard, and I just thought, I'm out. I just don't want that in my life or my kids' life.
Well,
there'll be problems at their new school, but
there
won't. There's none of that stuff. And I don't know. Bath is an amazing quality of life, a beautiful, easy place to live, and I absolutely love it. Yeah.
And of course, the Rec as well is the centre point of that. Mm. It's going to be a hard question.
Yeah.
But you played here for nearly a decade.
Yeah.
Could you pick out one moment that stands out?
Oh yeah. Well. Wasn't at the Rec, 2 moments then. One was at King's Own, because we won the European Challenge Cup, which is the first trophy we've won in 10 years. A lot of pressure, but amazing to win. A lot of us had offers to go. We were quite a good team then, and a lot of us were getting offers to change clubs, and at one point 6 of us from the starting forward pack were offered to go to the same club. So we want 6 of the Bath 8 to come to our club on 3-year deals, which is pretty unprecedented.
Yeah.
And we all had a chat and we all said no, because if we go there we will win more trophies. I won't tell you what the club was, but if we go there we will win more trophies. We kind of know that because there's more money to spend, probably a better setup, we're still learning. But imagine if we could just win 1 trophy together, that would mean more than winning 5 with them or 10 with them. And we all agreed, so we stayed and made that happen, so that was pretty amazing. And I had a lot of injuries, but my longest injury was an Achilles injury, and still knackered now. Like I'm off to the doctors tomorrow. And this is 04. This is or something like that, and it's 2017 now, and I'm still in pain.
The kind of injury that
it's just annoying.
Lingers around.
Yeah, it doesn't affect my life. It's just really annoying. So I get out the car to walk in here, and I can't run across the road because it really hurts.
Yeah.
But I was at the gym this morning and it was fine. You know, so it's just annoying. But I came back from that injury after pretty much 20 months on the sidelines, which is a long time when you're in your 20s. You know.
Yeah.
That's over half.
Must have been so frustrating.
It's over half my contract.
Yeah.
You know, that's 20 paydays in a row without having played, which makes you feel pretty sick. And I came back on, and I remember hitting a scrum against Sale Sharks at the Rec, and I thought I'm gonna properly go for this bloke, and my Achilles is either going to snap or it's not, and it didn't, and it felt great, and shoved him backwards and won the penalty, and we kicked the points, and that didn't win us the game, but it was part of some of the points that won us the game. And after the game, I went in, I had a sort of a big shiner here, I had a couple of stitches to put in my head, and went out for 8 pints with the boys on a sunny night. It was just like, this is the best day of my life, you know.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing. So that was, cause I thought a lot of people said I wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
But luckily I had great physios and got back. But pretty innocuous little day really, 20 minutes, 30
Sense
minutes
of
off the
achievement
bench,
for yourself though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and ran on as fat as a house. Because all I'd done is bench press and eat for basically a year and a half. So I was benching shitloads, but I couldn't run.
Strong as shit.
I was strong as you like, but I couldn't run. So I was blowing out my hole, but I was out there.
That's why you only got 20 minutes.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I was dying by the end. And usually, if you in those days, if you played anything less than 40 minutes, you had to do running after the game.
Yeah.
And in the end, they were like, Flats, you can miss this one, because I was a heart attack after 20 minutes, you know. But bench was good, so that's what counts.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's about.
They were the two memories, I reckon.
And obviously, you were forced to retire through injuries later on in your Bath career. But following that, you had 2 years as the head of communications at Bath.
Yeah, comms director. That was great actually, and the club really looked after me. And I kind of said, look,
Was that something that you sort of said to them when I stopped playing? I want to do this, or
no, it wasn't actually. It was the club's idea. The chairman and the CEO at the time. It was their kind of idea, and I guess it for me it represented a soft landing, you know.
Yeah.
But for them, it was quite nice to have a link, I think, between the playing squad and the corporate side of the business.
Yeah.
So I provided that for a time, I guess, to an extent. And I arrived, when I say knowing nothing, there was a big laugh in the office because nobody would help me turn my computer on. And I didn't know how to do it. I mean, I physically didn't know where the on button was. So it was like I had this phone, and I couldn't ring anyone on my phone. And I didn't know why, and nobody would help me because I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 days later, I see one of them dial 9 before they make a call. And I was like, that's what you do.
I've got you.
But I mean, that level of ineptitude, So, but I learned a huge amount in that 2 years, and ultimately that job wasn't for me long term. But I learned a huge amount there about, the real. It's not quite the real world, but it's more real than being.
Well,
a pro
presumably
athlete.
that 2 years you spent there helped you, because obviously your career is going brilliantly now. That must have helped you a lot in terms of moving into that side of things.
Yeah, I don't know if my career is going brilliantly. I think, I don't know. People.
Well, it must be. I mean,
it is brilliant.
Following
I
on
love
from
it.
a playing professional career.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I feel my
doing.
career is going brilliantly, and I do, isn't because I've got a starring role in my own life. It's kind of like, actually, I wake up pretty much every day and look forward to what I've got to go and do. And I've been lucky enough, it's not luck, it's partly luck, it's not all luck, but lucky enough to have, for now, carved out a career that pays me money doing shit what I like,
Yeah,
and
well, that's what everyone wants, surely. Yeah.
It's come through working. I work much harder now than I did as a player, without question. I'm much, much harder working now. Not in terms of hours, in terms of what I will commit myself to deliver.
Yeah.
Much harder, put myself out a lot more, and I've got the best agent in the world. So some agents, I think, restrict their players more than as much as they help. That's just a massive sweeping statement, but it is true in some cases. My agent is...
We won't mention any cases.
No, we won't, My agent is the driving force behind everything, and she pushes everything, pushes me very hard. I push myself very hard as well. Excuse me, so it's not actually luck, it's people might say, you're good at this or you're natural at this, and you can be natural, but being natural is not enough. You've really got to develop your skill.
I mean, your personality obviously is suited well to the roles that you have.
Yeah, but not all of those roles existed before. It wasn't like, hey, what we need is a front row specialist who takes the piss out of himself, has a laugh, offers a bit of insight, and is kind of easy to bung anywhere. That role, no one asked me to fulfil that role. It's just like, that's what I do.
You kind of created it yourself.
I'm happy to laugh at myself. I'm happy to call bullshit on anybody. Yeah. I'm happy to be proved wrong and told I'm full of it and I don't know anything. I'm all right with that. That's
it's
never
refreshing
bothered me.
though. It is refreshing.
That's the role. That's the only role I can do.
Yeah.
So if there's no room for it, I'm screwed. I'll go and do something else because I can't do any of the other stuff. So I can't do it any other way. So I feel, it's all relative. You say my career's going brilliantly. Compare my career to, I don't know, someone sort of much more big time, and my career might not look so fancy and successful yet, but it's building and I love it, and it's all relative, and I'm very happy with what I get to do. I'm very happy to say no to things I don't want to do, even if it's good money, being crude about it. I'm happy that for now I'm earning the right amount, working the right amount, and liking it the right amount.
So it is going brilliantly for you personally, which is what
I don't look at it like that. I think right now it's all right. That's how I look at it. Right now it's all right. So this month it's all right. That's kind of how I always see it. But on my phone over there's 3 emails from my agent, and she's got 3 ideas about things to do. And, and she's just sitting at home having ideas, but if we want to make it happen, we'll make it happen, and we'll try, and we might cock it up, but
keep moving forward.
We'll try stuff, and it's if you had told me that 5 years after retiring I'd be doing all this, what I do every day or every weekend, I'd be little things like driving that, living there, earning that, I'd have said, wow, that'd be great, thanks very much, I'll take that. But now it's kind of like, none of that matters to me really. I love it all, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is, can I do more stuff? Can I find more stuff that I haven't done before? That I really like doing. And then sort of do other stuff as well. So it's kind of
just keep exploring.
I'm not going to go and present. I'm not going to go and present. The spin-off of the spin-off of the spin-off of whatever it is, Celebrity Sex Island. I'm not interested in that stuff.
You're not interested in doing Love Island or anything like that? No.
I mean, I've got the rig for it. I'll dominate on there.
You will,
and you know that. It's just the energy, isn't it? It's the cheat, but it's
charisma.
I just try new stuff. I go and try new stuff, and now and again I'll get something pops up in my diary as confirmed, and I've never heard of it, and my agent has just booked me in to do something, and it could be anything, and she's like, I'm not telling you what it is, just accept it.
Just trust her.
I'll tell you tomorrow. And she's like, right, you're doing it. I said, I've never done that before. Well, you're doing it. So you need to try. You need to learn something new.
It must be so key having that relationship, that trust relationship with her.
Oh yeah. I mean, my agent has my Twitter password, Facebook password. She has my credit card details. She has my switch card details. She has everything. She's got access to my bank account. She's got everything. So she can go online on her little banking app on her phone, log in my details, and have access to my accounts.
Take all your money.
Yeah, my wife doesn't have access to my account. I mean, look, she has access if she wanted it, but she can't be asked.
We'll cut that bit out in case she watches.
No, yeah, she hasn't. She can't be bothered. No. She can't be bothered. She's like, I don't need to. You do it. But Michelle, my agent, has access to everything. So there's complete trust, complete transparency. She gets a cut of everything I earn, and to be honest, if she asks for a bigger cut, she'll probably get it. Because she's worth every penny.
There you go, Michelle.
Yeah, so a lot, most, but a lot of guys will take the odd deal on the side. The agent doesn't know. I got approached directly, so I'll just take that on the side, and she doesn't need her cut. But everything I do that she doesn't know about, she gets her cut. Zap through, so she gets everything. So,
well, you're a team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would not be doing all this stuff that I love without her. So no question. She earns every penny. Yeah. I mean, she can be a bit of a bitch, actually. She told me I looked fat on the TV last week.
Well, she's got to put you in your place every now and then.
Yeah, my face looks fat now. That's the worst bit, she said. Losing my face. But
I was
in the gym this morning.
Still look good. Yeah. Still got a face for the camera.
She disagrees.
That's why Love Island are on the phone over there.
Yeah, that's it. It's buzzing off the hook, isn't
it? It's going crazy.
I've lost my number, actually, Love Island.
Got lost in the face. Well, I think that's everything we've covered. So
Cool.
thanks for being with us. And
No
we'll
worries. Thanks for having
hope
me.
to see you here again soon.